In this video, I want to cover maintaining your braking system. A lot of guys really don't understand that it's really an important part of the bike. How quick you can get stopped going into a turn really means that's a factor of how fast you can actually go into the turn. So braking on a bike is really important, and maintaining the braking system is really important. One of the things about a brake system on a bike, first off, brake fluid is hygroscopic. What that means is brake fluid really it readily absorbs moisture. So what happens when when you've got moisture in the brake fluid is the brake fluid tends to boil really quick, and it doesn't take a lot of temperature to do that. So maintaining the brake fluid is really important. What I want to go over is basically, maintaining the brake system and also bleeding the brake system. A lot of guys seem to have trouble with getting all the air out of the system. I'm going to show you a few tricks today that will probably help you out a lot, and it'll actually make bleeding the brakes a lot easier. A couple things, the tools that you'll need to do your brakes. If you're just bleeding the brakes, pretty much just an 8mm boxed in wrench, and that's going to work on the rear. And then you'll need a number 2 Phillips head screwdriver to get the front brake master cylinder cover off. So we'll go over that. One of the other tools I'm going to show you when you're bleeding a brake, or when you're actually changing the fluid or putting fluid in a completely dry system, a syringe, just a large syringe. You can buy these at most any your local drugstore. They're cheap. Buy quite a few of them. I usually keep 5 or 6 here. And one thing, the little rubber seal in these will not last long with brake fluid, so they're cheap, something to have. Another thing that helps out a lot, this is just regular, it's Tygon tubing. They use it for fuel line in the small engine industry. Most any lawn and garden supply is going to have this stuff. Buy a foot or 2 of it. It's going to help you out with bleeding your brakes. So the other thing is I use the Valvoline. It's the synthetic .3, .4 brake fluid. It's got a dry boiling point of 480 degrees. For even a pretty fast rider, they're not going to get the brake system that hot. There are some other brake fluids that have a little bit higher boiling point. Pro level riders probably benefit from that type of fluid. This stuff, you can actually pick it up at most any local automotive parts store. We've been using it for a long time, and it really works good. So that's what we're going to use in this bike. We're working on a 2009 YZ450 today. Like I say, we're going to cover some things that guys have had some problems with, and hopefully this will help you out. Okay, I've already got the master cylinder cover off. This system is completely dry. It's already, all the fluid is out of the system. And this is where a lot of guys have a lot of problems, because it's really, really hard to get the air out. So what we're going to do here, I've got my syringe. It's filled with the brake fluid. You don't need a lot, because these systems really don't hold a lot of brake fluid. But you want to make sure that you've got plenty on. You don't want to run out as you're filling the system. What we're going to actually do is we're going to reverse bleed this system. So what you'll do is you'll go ahead and put your 8mm boxed in wrench. You're going to put it on your bleeder screw and open that up. Put your tubing on the end of the bleeder screw. We've bled most of the air out of the tubing. With the bleeder screw open, we're going to slowly start pushing the fluid into the brake system. You want to do this real slow, because it allows any air that's in the caliper to go ahead. It'll push it out and push it up into the line. And what it'll do, it'll push that air straight up into the master cylinder. And as you're slowly pushing the fluid into the the caliper, you want to keep an eye out on your master cylinder reservoir. We're already getting fluid in there. So again, just really slow. Got a little bit of a leak here. That's kind of normal. That's just coming out of the bleeder screw threads. And just keep an eye on your master cylinder, And as it fills up, basically I'm going to go ahead and just fill this thing all the way to the top. That way it's going to leave us plenty of room to bleed it out. And there we go. Up to the top, shut your bleeder screw off. And okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to start bleeding the brakes. I've already backfilled the system with the syringe. What I've got now, just an empty bottle. This happens to be a Powerade bottle. They're cheap. We finished the Powerade off and rinsed it out. What we do, I like something clear so that you can see the fluid coming out. In this case, we know we've already got clean fluid that's going to be coming out. But when you're bleeding the brakes, when you're bleeding brakes on a bike and it's got some old fluid in it, you can actually tell when you're starting to get clean fluid. And with this Tygon tubing, even though it's yellow, it is fairly clear. So with this, you can see, if you're draining the dirty fluid out, you can see when the fluid starts coming out clean, and you can also see if there's any air in the fluid. What I'll do on the brake pedal end, these things have got some pretty nasty teeth on them. You want those there so your foot doesn't slip off while you're braking. What I use is just a shop rag, put it over that so it doesn't chew your hand up. We've already got some fairly decent brakes, so what we're going to do is pump on the brakes a few times, hold it down, and break your bleeder screw loose. And then do not let up off your brake lever until you have tightened that bleeder screw back down. If you do that, you're going to suck air back into the system, and from there you're going to be starting all over again, so you're not going to be too happy. But what you'll want to do is basically just keep pumping the brakes, crack the bleeder screw open, shut it off, and let them up. And right now we've got we've actually got really good, really solid filling brakes. We're going to bleed it a couple more times, mainly to get the fluid level down to where we need it. So I put the cap back on. And I think we're in good shape. This is what we've got, the pedal, where the pedal comes up. You start getting resistance, and then from there it is very solid. This is going to be, it's going to give you really good rear brakes, and it's going to help your stopping out. You're not going to have to put as much force on the pedal, and that way you can do your braking. Some people like a little more play in the pedal. You can adjust your pedal to the way you want it, but this way you're going to have really good brakes. Not going to take a lot of effort to get the bike stopped.